Hello everyone, welcome to the lecture number 6 of our system stability. In this lecture, we will discuss factors affecting steady state and transient stability and methods of improvement. Okay, so first of all, as seen in this slide, here are three power angle curves. This is the PE versus delta. These three curves, curve A, curve B and curve C. As you see in last lectures, this is the condition when both lines in operation. This is curve A. When one faulted line and one healthy line is in operation, this is curve B. And when faulted line is isolated from this section, then only one healthy line is in the system. That condition, this is the curve C. So three different power and angle curves. So this curve A, it is called the pre-fault curve. This curve B called the fault duration curve, and curve C called the post-fault curve. And as you all know, the condition of stability, that is area A1, that is equal to area A2, or this area A1 is less than area A2. So this is the main condition. So if the accelerating area A1 is greater than A2, then we say system unstable. So for maintaining the stability, that accelerating area A1 should be less. Here three maximum values, here Pmax1, Pmax2 and Pmax3. As you all know, this is the condition when we take a double circuit line is in operation, a synchronous machine, synchronous generator, that is transfer the power through the double circuit line to an infinite bus. So when both line in operation, the reactance is less. So at the relation P max, that is equal to EV by X. So this, the value of P max is more. When one faulted line and one healthy line is in operation, the reactance also change. That's why again change in maximum power P max 2. And when after fault is cleared, when only one line is in operation, then reactance also change. So this is the Pmax 3. So these power angle curves are very important. Okay, so here in figure shows that when the maximum power limit of various power angle curves is raised, the accelerating area decreases and a decelerating area increases for a given clearing angle. Consequently, delta naught is decreased and delta m is increased. This delta naught and this delta m. This means that by increasing Pmax, the rotor can swing through a larger angle from its original position before it reaches a critical clearing angle. Thus, raising the value of Pmax increases the critical clearing time and also improves the stability. So very important line, raising the value of Pmax increases the critical clearing time and improves the stability. Okay, so here the steady state power limit, as you see, that is P max equal to EV by X. This is the steady state power limit. As you remember, PE, that is equal to EV by X sine delta power angle equation. So in this equation, EV by X, this is the value of P max. Okay. So it can be seen from this expression, P max can be increased by increasing either or both V and E and reduce the transfer reactance. Okay, as you see here, this P max is inversely proportional to the reactance X and directly proportional to EV. So the following methods are available for reducing the transfer reactance. Okay. Number one is the use of double circuit lines. As you see here, this is the case when a synchronous generator feeding an infinite bus through a double circuit line. Okay. Line 1 reactance is X1 and line 2 reactance is X2. As you all know, if we calculate equivalent reactance of this line and if we check equivalent reactance of only one line, then which is less? Obviously, first case when we take both line in operation. So when reactance less, P max is more. Okay. So the impedance of a double circuit line is less than that of a single line. A double circuit line doubles the transmission capability. An additional advantage is that the continuity of supply is maintained over one line with reduced capacity when the other line is out of service for maintenance or repair. But the provision of additional line can hardly be justified by stability consideration alone. Okay. Next point is the use of bundled conductors. As you all know very much about bundled conductors. Bundling of conductors reduces to a considerable extent the line reactance and so increase the power limit of the line. Okay. Next is the series compensation of the line. As you all know, the inductive reactance of a line can be reduced by connecting static capacitors in series with the lines. So these 3 points are basically denotes the transfer reactance and the relationship P max equal to EV by X says P max steady state power limit, that is inversely proportional to the transfer reactance. Okay. Now it is to be noted that any measure to increase the steady state limit P max will improve the transient stability limit. The use of generators of high inertia and low reactance improves the transient stability, but generators with these characteristics are costly. So in practice, only those methods are used which are economical. So some of them: high speed excitation systems. In this, high speed excitation helps to maintain synchronism during a fault by quickly increasing the excitation voltage. High speed governors help by quickly adjusting the generator inputs. Okay. Next point is the fast switching. Rapid isolation of fault is the principal way of improving transient stability, as we know that the fault should be cleared as fast as possible. It should be noted that the time required for fault removal is the sum of relay response time plus the circuit breaker operating time. Again, the sum of relay response time plus the circuit breaker operating time. So therefore, high speed relaying and circuit breaking are commonly used to improve stability during fault conditions. It has now become possible to isolate the fault in less than 2 cycles. And as you know, 2 cycles for 50 Hz system, that is 0.04 second. So system stability can be further improved by making circuit breaker reclosure automatic, as many faults do not re-establish themselves after restoration of supply. So the time interval between line removal and reclosure should be reduced, keeping in mind that the line must remain de-energized for a certain minimum time in order that the line insulation should recover fully. Okay, now some of the recent methods to maintain stability are given below. Number one is the braking resistors. Braking resistors. In this method, an artificial electric load in the form of shunt resistors is temporarily connected at or near the generator bus. Such resistors partially compensate the reduction of load on a generator following a fault. The acceleration of the generator rotor is therefore reduced. So for this reason, these resistors are called braking resistors. This method is also known as dynamic braking. So a control scheme connects the braking resistors to the generators through circuit breakers. The scheme also determines the amount of resistance to be connected and the duration of its connection. So the braking resistors are connected immediately following the fault and remain in the circuit for few cycles, and they are disconnected at the moment of reclosure when the system voltage has recovered. Okay, next point is the turbine fast valving or bypass valving. In the event of a fault, the generator output is reduced, resulting in a high accelerating power. If the mechanical input power to the turbine could be momentarily reduced, the acceleration could be reduced. So fast valving is a means of reducing the mechanical input power to the turbine during the fault. Certain steam valves are rapidly closed about 0.1 to 0.2 seconds and immediately reopened. So this procedure increases the critical clearing time. Very important. This procedure increases the critical clearing time. Next point is the single pole switching. As you all know, majority of the line faults are single line to ground fault, LG fault. In single pole switching, is also called independent pole operation. The three phases of the circuit breaker are closed or opened independently of each other. In the event of an LG fault, the circuit breaker pole corresponding to the faulty line is opened and the remaining two healthy phases continue to transfer power. Since most of the faults are transitory for very short time, this phase can be reclosed after it has been open for a predetermined time. The system should not be operated for long periods with one phase open. Therefore, provision should be made to trip the whole line if one phase remains open for a predetermined time. It's a very important line. Okay. Now, next is the HVDC link. High voltage direct current links are helpful in maintaining stability due to the following advantages. Number one, a DC tie line provides a loose coupling between two AC systems to be interconnected. A DC link may be interconnect two AC systems at different frequencies. Third number, there is no transfer of fault energy from one AC system to another if they are interconnected by a DC line. This is the last point, load shedding. If there is insufficient generation to maintain system frequency, some of the generators are disconnected during or immediately after a fault. Thus, the stability of the remaining generators is improved. The unit to be disconnected is provided with a large steam bypass system. When the system recovers from the shock of the fault, the disconnected unit is resynchronized and reloaded. So, extra cost of a large steam bypass system is the limitation of this method. Again, extra cost of a large steam bypass system is the limitation of this method. Okay, so disconnection of some consumers, that is load shedding, removal of load is also helpful in improving transient stability. Okay, so there are some points, methods for improving the stability. So that's all for now. Thank you and wish you all good luck.